February 8, 2017, 6 men were arrested near a church in Alexandria, Virginia, at a hypothermia shelter located on the property by a raid conducted by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. People were outraged because of the supposed violation of the church's sanctity. The backlash was compounded by the fact that official ICE policy was not to conduct raids on religious institutions. And this is not a new sentiment. Churches have been known as a refuge for fugitives for generations. In Perek Chaf Aleph, Pasuk Yud, chapter 21, verse 14, we see that the Torah provides the opposite perspective. The Torah says, if a man deliberately plots against his comrade to kill him, even from my altar, you should take him to be killed. Rashi notes that this halacha, this law, even applies to a Kohen who is discovered to have killed someone, even though he's currently serving in the temple, he's currently involved with the heavenly service. It is clear that the sanctity of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and the Beis HaMikdash, the holy temple in Jerusalem, are not enough to override the necessity that justice be served. Judaism has a separation between tort and monetary law and laws related to ritual purity of items and locations. They operate on two separate planes. My question is, what can we learn from the fact that the holiness, the Kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash was not enough to prevent a murderer from being taken to be killed? I believe that a lesson that we can learn can be found in the story of Yoav's death in Melachim Aleph, the first book of Kings, Perek Beis Pasuk Chavches, chapter 2, verse 22. Yoav was David HaMelech's right-hand man, the commander of his army. The problem was Yoav liked to do things without consulting his superior, King David. And sometimes what he did was in direct conflict to the best interests of his master. Yoav supported the insurrection of David's son when he rebelled. Yoav killed Avshalom, a military rival against the wishes of David. And as a result, David told his son Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, to kill Yoav after King David had passed on. Yoav hears about this plan and he runs to the Mishkan, he runs to the tabernacle. And he grabs hold of the Mizbeach. Clearly he did not review the Parshat last week, because he wants to save his skin. King Solomon commands that Yoav be taken from the altar and be put to death. And Shlomo HaMelech, in that anecdote in the book of Kings, says that Yoav is to be put to death because he killed innocent and righteous people. In other words, Shlomo was saying that every person is responsible for his or her own actions. Yoav was going to be killed because he killed innocent people. Personal responsibility. Judaism doesn't believe that just being somewhere is enough. We need to remember that the sanctity of a holy place, of a Makom Kadosh, is not enough to cause us to grow automatically. Each one of us needs to invest in our connection to Hashem. We can't assume that just by being somewhere, that's going to cause us to grow. Many of us come to shul, we come to synagogue, and we expect to be inspired. We might show up to a class and we are kind of sitting there like, okay, I hope to be entertained, and I should be inspired just because I'm here. We expect to be inspired by the prayers, by the davening, by the sermon, without putting in any effort. But unfortunately, this mentality is unrealistic. You can't grow without investing effort into what you're doing. I would like to provide a suggestion that can help us make the most out of the opportunities of prayer and learning in a group setting. There's a concept among college students known as pregaming. Pregaming means if you're going to go to a party at 8 o'clock at night, and there's going to be alcohol there, not that I'm advocating this, but the concept is, don't just start drinking at 8 o'clock, start drinking earlier, start drinking at 6 o'clock. Because that way, when you get to the party, you'll be loose, you'll be ready to have a good time, you're not just going to be stiff and have to loosen up and be considered uncool. So pregame the party. Along these lines, many of us took the SATs. Everyone knows you don't just show up to the SATs expecting to do well. You need to prep. You need to go to classes. You might need a tutor. You might need a study guide. It's not something that you can just show up to without any sort of preparation. We should do the same thing for our prayers. We need to prepare to talk to God. We should do the same for our davening. We should try as best as we can to come on time so that we don't need to skip anything. No one wants to come late to a party. No one wants to come late to a sports game. If we want to make the most out of our davening, we should come on time. But beyond that, we should also pregame our conversation with God. We should take a few moments over the course of our week, the course of our day, to take a look at the Siddur, to open it up, to familiarize ourselves with the protocol of communal prayer, with the protocol of the order of the different prayers in the tefillos, and to become familiar with the words that we're saying and what they mean. We need to keep in mind that we can't grow close to God automatically. We are responsible for our own growth and for our own development as Ovdei Hashem, as servants of God. The Mizbeach doesn't automatically make someone holy. The temple doesn't automatically make someone holy. Our shuls don't automatically make someone else holy. At the end of the day, it's what we do in these places that connects us to our Creator. Growth depends on us. Have a great week.